How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Gundam card game video here on Red Zone Rogue. Today we are talking about one of my favorite new breakout decks from the Dual Impact meta, and that is a red-white Neo Zeon deck. This is a deck that has been performing very well in the Japanese meta because Japan has actually had a handful of events and tournaments since the set came out, and this has proven to be one of the better ones. Not the Forerunner, we have the green-white Wing Zero still doing quite a lot of work, but this is a deck that has done some work, and I'm really excited to talk about it because, well, it uses some of my favorite cards in the Gundam card game. So let's go ahead and jump into an overlay and talk about this deck, and I want to share with you where I got this list from too, because I feel that if I'm showcasing a deck that I didn't build myself, I want to kind of show you where I got it from. I think it's only fair. So I actually got this deck list from this website here, which is called gset.net, and it's a website that just compiles and ranks and lists and just showcases a lot of Japanese Gundam card game decks and winning lists and all that kind of good stuff. So I like to check this every now and then and see what's going on in the Japanese meta, and this is one of a few decks that I saw that I really like. I like this list in particular, though there are other variations. In fact, there are some variations that even run like Perfect Strike. We have ones that use Overflowing Affection. The one that I'm using, or the one that I like the most, and the one that I want to showcase here, is one that runs Full Frontal and SINANJU. In fact, most of the other ones run Full Frontal and SINANJU, which is really cool. So let's go ahead and go to a website where we can actually read the cards here, if you don't read Japanese, and talk about this deck. Now, as you can see, it's a decent split between red and white, and it has a heavy focus on blockers from the white side of things. Basically, it's just like all of your staple blockers. We have Zawart, Rick Diaz, Lifrith, L-Strike, as well as the Striker Pact. And these are all just like, you know, staple, absolute staple white blocker cards. We'll kind of go over these really quickly in case you aren't familiar with all these, in case you're new with the Gundam card game, but it's essentially half blockers and then half like top end Neo Zeon to finish it off with, you know, their ace pilots, which are some of my favorite in the entire game. I'm literally Marita Cruz and Hamon Karn are my two favorite pilots in the game, and we have my two favorite mobile suits. We have the KSHATRIYA and the QUBELEY. So like, I really love this deck. It also has my favorite command card, is Close Combat. This deck really speaks to me. Though I personally like the blue-white, or the blue-red version a little bit more. So anyway, let's talk about this. So we have the Zawart at a 3 of. This is a level 2, one of our only level 2 cards in the deck, and our only level 2 unit in the deck. And as you can see, if you take a look at kind of a snapshot of all of the Japanese meta decks, with some exceptions, a lot of the decks are getting slower. You see a lot of decks curve out on like level 3 instead of level 2, unless you're running like a hyper aggro deck. And a lot of decks are now instead going for heavy blockers to compensate. So the Zawart works really well in this situation. It is a 3/2, level 2 cost 3/2 with blocker, but it can't attack the enemy player. So it's basically just like a board control card. We're only running 3 of in the deck because, well, it's not super great, especially if you draw it a little bit late, but it can help shore up early turns, especially if you're against the more aggro decks. Similar to this, by the way, is Close Combat, which is another level 2 cost, and this one just has a main action. You choose an enemy unit and deal 2 damage to it. Exceptionally good versus the aggro decks. A lot of the good aggro cards are X2s, as in they have, you know, some degree of attack, but 2 health, like the Zaku that attacks for 3, for example. So this is a great turn 2 play. You keep your resources open, and then when your opponent attacks, you blast them with the Close Combat. We're also running some other stuff here, but we'll talk about this a little bit. We'll talk about this a little bit later. So now we have the rest of the blockers. So we have the Rick Diaz. This is a new card from set 2, level 3, 2 cost, 3/3 with blocker. That's it. It's just a 3/3 with blocker. Super efficient. You're going to see this in a lot of white decks going forward. Similarly, we have its counterpart, the Gundam Lifrith, level 3, 2 cost, 2/4 with blocker. That's it. So it's basically the same as the Rick Diaz. I personally like Rick Diaz a little bit more because it still survives a lot of commands like the Close Combat, and it survives a lot of like ping effects 3 health is actually pretty good, but it also can pressure your opponent's EX base because it has that 3 attack, whereas the Gundam Lifrith needs a little bit of work to get there. The low attack of the Gundam Lifrith can actually be used in conjunction with stuff like our close combat or even our base, the Relula, which lets us deal direct damage to enemy units if they have 5 or less AP, which is actually pretty solid. We have a lot of ways to deal direct damage in this deck between the Relula, Haman Karn, Marita Cruz. We have the KSHATRIYA, the QUBELEY, and the SINANJU. So I have a lot of ways to deal direct damage in the deck, not to mention the new all-ranged attack. So Relula can actually be used in conjunction with something like the Lifrith to kind of get that extra point of damage on enemy units. Doesn't really help us with the EX base, but I think we're okay, working into the mid and late game. We're also running another Gundam card game staple at this point, the Ailstrike Gundam, level 5/4, costs 4/4. It links with Kiriyamato, but that is okay because, well, it has a secondary pair effect. It has blocker, but it also says when you pair with a level 4 or higher pilot, you can choose an enemy unit 4 or less HP and return it to the owner's hand. And hey, look, all of our pilots are level 4 or higher. So all of these can get that effect on the Ailstrike Gundam. One thing that this is true for this deck is that we don't have a lot of link potential, but we do have a lot of pair effects that work well with the deck. And that's true with the next unit, the KSHATRIYA. Level 5/4, costs 5/4. It links with Marita Cruz. Of course, we are running Marita Cruz. And it says, when paired with a Cyber new type or new type pilot, which once again is every single one of the pilots in our deck, we can choose 1 or 2 enemy units and we deal 1 damage to each of them, which is fantastic. And once again, this pairs really nicely with all of our other direct damaging effects. Marita Cruz herself says, during link and on attack, when you choose 1 enemy unit whose level is equal to or lower than this unit and deal 1 damage to it. Now, obviously, you want to link that up with the KSHATRIYA because we don't really have a lot of like cross-pollination with links in this deck, but it's still really, really good. And you can get that nice little extra ping effect. We're also running the SINANJU. This is a card that is out of one of the starter decks and one that you don't see a lot of play, but it's been one of my favorite cards in the game ever since we saw it. It's a level 6, 5 cost 5/4, links with Full Frontal. We are running 2 copies of Full Frontal. And then just during pair at all, it gets High Maneuver, which is great. So all of our top end big boss finishers, they have an additional effect if they're paired like at all with any of our pilots, which is great. They might not be linked, but we still get an effect, which is good. And then also it says, during our turn, when this unit destroys an enemy shield area card with battle damage, we choose an enemy unit and deal 2 damage to it. Once again, extra amount of direct damage to help clear the board. Full Frontal himself is a level 6, 1 cost, +2/+2 pilot, and he has a pair effect if you can deploy 1 Neo Zeon or Zeon card, unit card that's level 4 or lower from your hand. We don't actually run any of them in this deck, which is kind of funny. There are versions of this deck that do run the uncommon KSHATRIYA to trigger this, or even the 2/4, what's it called? It's a 2/4 Neo Zeon card that does 1 damage when it comes into play. So I've seen versions of the deck run those, but this version is the one that I like the most, and it doesn't run any of those. It's just a +2/+2 that you can actually get the effect for KSHATRIYA, SINANJU, or even the QUBELEY. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And the SINANJU having High Maneuver is great against all of the other blocker decks out there, which there's a good amount of them. So that's extra good. And then our final unit, and my new favorite, or one of my new favorite units, is the QUBELEY, level 7, 5 cost 5/5. When it's linked, it gains suppression during the turn. So just the turn that it gets linked, but still really good, double damage to shields. And then also during pair with any Neo Zeon pilot, once again, all of our pilots are Neo Zeon, so this works with all of our pilots. On attack, we choose a damaged enemy unit and deal 2 damage to it. So this is a unit that does 2 damage to something. This is a unit that does 2 damage to something. This is a unit, you guessed it, does 2 damage to, or does 2 damage split to 2 different targets. So all of our big boss monsters deal direct damage, which is really, really strong. And obviously this links with Haman Karn. And Haman Karn herself is a level 5, 1 cost, +2/+1. And then when paired, if the unit is red, which is all of the big boss monsters, choose an enemy unit whose level is equal to or lower than this one, and you deal 1 damage to it. So all of our pilots, with the exception of Full Frontal, deal damage. All of our red big boss monsters deal damage. Most of our spells deal damage. And so this deck is just like a mid-range board burn deck. It's so cool. I really, really love this deck. I'm definitely gonna be playing it and building it and kind of testing it out. But I'll be honest, I still like the blue-red version of the deck that runs Psycho Gundam, but this one is still really, really cool. And then rounding out the deck, we have the Striker Pack, which I mentioned, just another way to get more blockers. On main phase, you can either choose to get a 2/4 blocker or a 4/2 blocker, or if you get this on burst, you get a 3/3 blocker. If you have no other tokens, no other Earth Alliance tokens in play. So you only get one, but it's still really good, and it's a really good burst. And I should mention now, we do have a lot of burst potential. In fact, I do believe every single card that's not a unit has burst, which is quite good. So we have burst from the Striker Pack to get a 3/3, burst from close combat to deal 2 damage to something, burst from Ralula to deploy it, and then we get a do damage. This one is not like only on our turn. We can do the damage from the Ralula on our opponent's turn, because it just says add one of our shields to our hand, close the ad, then choose one enemy unit with 5 or less HP and deal 1 damage to it. So, great. And then all the pilots obviously have burst to add to hand. And then the final card also has burst. Choose an enemy unit, deal 1 damage to it. This is the new all-ranged attack, and I really like this card quite a bit. It's a level 4 2-cost command card. Main, deal 1 damage to all enemy units other than link units. So really good at just kind of like laying waste to those go-wide boards. You can wait until you're like, on level... Turn 4, for example, if you have 2 of these, you can drop both of them and just deal 2 to the enemy board and basically clear everything, because a lot of the 1-Year War aggro decks are all like X2s, like I said. So it just works even better. And we're running a full 4 of them in this deck. Yeah, like I said, this deck's super cool. I love the burn potential of this. The only downside is it's a little bit slow and might be a little spendy to build, at least at this point in time, because we have some expensive boss monster units, boss robot units. The KSHATRIYA, the QUBELEY, and the Ale Strike are all like on the more expensive side of things. But as we get more restocks, reprints, prices should go down. And yeah, I'm definitely going to build this deck and test it out, and I really, really like it. Let me know what you think of this in the comment section down below. We're going to feature a lot more Gundam card game decks, and as I get my actual boosters, let me swap back to me real quick here. Hello. I was gonna say, as I get my last 3 boxes, I will actually be building the decks, and future deck techs will actually have the real cards on them. I'm still waiting on 3 more boxes. I got my first 3 boxes, and I get like half a playset. My other 3 boxes should give me a full playset, so I can build and play whatever decks that I want, which is my goal with the Gundam card game. Just want to play decks and have a good time. So yeah, once again, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. Let me know what other decks you'd like me to feature going forward. Like I mentioned, we have some decks from the previous season that are doing really good. They got maybe 1 or 2 upgrades, like the blue-green 1-Year War, like the green-white the Wing Gundam deck. But there's some new ones out there too, like blue-purple, like Tekkaden deck, as well as some other stuff. So yeah, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching and for supporting the Gundam card game content. I really, really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.